Then they finally acknowledge you, and they're like, "What the fuck you want?"
Alpha sucks. Bravo's the best. I just saw them both turn around. Fuck you say?
We're running through, burning. The woods were burned up and everything.
And then just clash.
Yeah.
The dudes are like, get the vibe out. PMO's coming.
I remember him saying, "My dad's like a major in so and so battalion."
Panda 1-6, Panda 1-6, this is Badger 2-2, come in, over.
Badger 2-2, this is Panda 1-6, send traffic, over.
Roger, E4 Mafia is a go. I say again, E4 Mafia is a go.
Roger that, execute.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the E4 Mafia Podcast. Today's episode is going to be about the fleet. It's going to include us dropping into our units, funny stories, crazy training, and almost getting out. My name's Alan,
My name's Mike.
and let's get into the episode. What's going on, bro? How you doing? Another day?
Yeah.
Oh. Get comfy.
Yeah. I need to. Just got off work. So what's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. What about you?
Shoot. Just another day.
So, man, I'm excited about this episode, man. The fleet episode.
Yeah, me too,
Very
man.
excited about this one. This one has been kind of on my mind since we've done the last one, thinking about what to tell, what's important, funny stories and everything. And there's a lot to cover, and how we just endured it, and what it was like when you first got dropped in, and all the way to almost getting out.
Yeah. I mean, I could start with that. Yeah, so my first experience, of course, from the last episode, if you watched the last episode from SOI, once you graduate, you get on a bus, and they take you to your designated base. So ours was Camp Lejeune. And then they'll tell you where to go once they drop you off, and then you go to your battalion headquarters. Then you have to check in. I don't know if you remember yours, but
Yeah.
I was pretty nervous. My first rodeo, especially going into something this big, and we stood there, probably a good 35, 40 minutes, and just standing in front of the battalion CO, and while they're just running around doing what they need to do, kind of like what you see in the movies, and they're just ignoring you, doing paperwork or whatever. I think they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and a few, I think it was like 2 or 3 other guys, we got attached to 2-2, coming from SOI, and we're standing at attention. Then they finally acknowledge you, and they're like, "What the fuck you want? What are you doing here?" Like, we're assigned to, we were assigned to this battalion, sir. And they tell you, "All right, you're going this platoon, and you're going to that platoon." And then they say, "Get the fuck out of my face." So was it like that for you?
That's how they did to you?
Yeah.
No. Mine was a little different. So they told us what company and unit we're going to. They're like, hey, they told me, you're going to 1-6, you're going to be in Bravo company. So, okay, cool. I had a friend of mine, Sullivan. He's about like 6'4", just average build. Wasn't real skinny, wasn't real stocky. And we became pretty close within SOI and whatnot. And we were, he was actually in my boot camp as well, but he was just a different tier. Like, he was in the third deck, I was on the first deck. So we really never really saw each other.
Okay.
And I remember he was assigned to Alpha Company. And, obviously being Marines, we're like, oh, yo, Bravo's the best. We're not even in our damn unit yet. And we're like, oh, bro, Alpha sucks. Bravo's the best. So I'm talking shit, obviously. Being that competitive, that Marine, the stereotypical arrogant Marine that's fresh out of boot camp. I ain't done nothing out of SOI.
Yeah.
But it's just, friendly banter. And I didn't realize that the unit had sent Alpha Company NCOs to pick us up.
From SOI?
Yeah. So they came in that little white bus.
Yeah.
And then we got off at IPAC first to go get all our stuff. And then I got off the bus. I was like, yeah, man. I was just yelling. I didn't think about it. I'm not thinking. I was like, man, Sully, man, Alpha sucks. Bravo's the best. I just saw them both turn around. Fuck you say? oh, Alpha's the best. What's up, man? Oh, well, I'm Alpha. You got some shit to talk about, Alpha? Fuck Bravo. What you gonna do about it, bitch? I'm like, nothing, Sergeant.
Yeah.
Nothing, Corporal.
Yeah.
And they just like straight up, just like pucker factor. Because I didn't mean it.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
I meant it later on when I became became more.
Yeah.
Bravo's the best.
So you was in Bravo?
Yeah, Bravo Company 1-6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was with
And-
Fox 2-2.
Right. Yeah. And so after almost being scared, I was about to get jumped by, all of Alpha Company's seniors, almost, just really two of them. But we got dropped off to our battalion headquarters where the company was and all that. Not battalion, but the company headquarters, I think.
Yeah.
And it was battalion headquarters. Yeah, it's got to be battalion headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, battalion headquarters. And we met the battalion gunnery sergeant, battalion commander, and all that. Or the battalion first sergeant, battalion company commander, and then my company gunny. He was it my company? One of the gunnies, I think it's maybe HNS's gunnies or whatever. He had to height and weight us, and then he did mine, and he was like I was within the weight regulations, but he was like, "You fat thing!" Like, there's no way you're 12% body fat. 13% by whatever it was. And I was like, what the hell? Like, you know how much weight I lost before I got? You know how fat I was?
Yeah.
And I knew I've always been like a chunky dude besides right out of boot camp.
Yeah.
Which is kind of where I was at this point. It's just a little different.
Yeah.
And I dealt with that. I was like, oh, here we go again. This is going to be a problem. Like, I'm going to have to keep working at this. And then, like, we got assigned to our companies and our squads. So I was 3rd squad, and our whole company was out doing in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And they were coming back that day.
Okay.
So there was a couple of guys that wasn't in the field. It was Sergeant Spore and then Mantiglia. Mantiglia was also, a newer Marine that got to the fleet. But he was a little older. He was a little bit more, I guess you could say, like, responsible and kind of
Mature?
picked it up. Yeah, more mature.
Yeah.
Kind of picked up what they were putting down.
Mm-hmm.
So Sergeant Spore was salty, had a combat tour, multiple combat tours. And I remember he got my room key and I was like, good morning, good evening, whatever, Sergeant. And he's like, here's your room, open the door. The guy that used to have this room got kicked out and he was a piece of shit. The room is trash. You need to clean it up.
Yeah.
So I put my key in, I unlock it, and it's me and another guy that just dropped with me too. Didn't see him, like, I didn't really know him too well until we got to our unit. And sure enough, there's like salsa. There's a salsa thing by the nightstand on the bed. There's like clothes, trash, like disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like, clean it up. So then I realized I never took my key out of my door. So the whole time, like, Sergeant Spore's yelling at me,
Yeah.
and whatnot, kind of give me that welcome to the fleet experience.
Yeah.
I left my key in my door, and when I realized it, he'd realized it right as soon as I walked in the door. So he took it and put it in his pocket.
Mm.
And when I went to go, I was like, damn, where's the key? And I checked my pockets, look at the door, and I was like, I know it was in the door. It was the last place. I didn't put it down. It had to be in the door. That's why I remember leaving it in the door.
Yeah.
He was like, what you looking for? I was like, looking for my key, Sergeant. He's like, maybe it's in that salsa. What? He's like, you fucking heard me? Searching the salsa. And it's like this old moldy thing of salsa for chips.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there fingering it, trying to just look for this key that I know is not there. Now I done picked up what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got to play this game. It's my fault. Well, I won't leave my key in the door ever again, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And we found like a fleshlight underneath the bed from this guy, just discussing stuff that I was searching. He told me, maybe it's in that fleshlight.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think so, Sergeant. Because I would then go check the bathroom. So he didn't force me to put my hand in the fleshlight, obviously.
Yeah.
We had to clean all that up, and I just remember that. And then sooner or later, the guys came back. I'm pretty sure your experience, the first. We'll get into my night experience after that, but
Okay.
when the guys got back,
Okay.
I'm sure yours was a little different.
Yeah.
This is this is 2015 for me. And I think 06 for you.
Mine was 2006 when I got into the fleet. So my battalion just got back from Iraq. So every single one of them are salty.
Yep.
Even the lance corporals and the privates. So remember
The
though,
privates?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, the privates, private first class.
Surprised they didn't get picked. I'm surprised they didn't pick up rank while they were over there.
I think they picked up rank when they got back. Yeah. So yeah, remember though, I left SOI as a lance corporal,
right.
because I did the recruiting stuff, got enough points to get meritoriously promoted, so I picked up lance corporal, and again, we got there. They told us what squad bay we're going to, and of course, the squad bays that we have, or I had, when I was in, they were old, old as shit. Luckily, my room.
We had probably had the same barracks. That
Probably,
you had,
yeah.
That the same disgusting boot drops from Vietnam had too.
Yeah, it's had mold and crap all in it and stuff. But so they finally gave us the key to our room. We got in there. Our room was luckily clean, fresh everything. So they told us to unpack all of our shit, make sure all of our uniforms are neatly in the foot locker, not the foot locker, the wall lockers.
Yeah.
And then they gave us a little piece of paper telling us how we're supposed to have it set up. And I met my team leader. Now, I don't know if I would say their names or not, but he was a big Samoan dude. I'll put it at that. I don't want to put names out there for whatever reason. But anyways, big Samoan dude, and he was just calm, cool, collective, and he was a PFC. Yeah, he was a PFC.
I know this guy's name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he was a PFC then?
PFC then.
Wow.
So he was gonna pick up Lance. Right, I think within a few weeks he was gonna pick up Lance, and then that was his first tour. My squad leader was a lance corporal, so I got to meet him. My team leader was like, "Hey, go meet your squad leader. He's on room so and so." He said, "Just knock on the door. He'll welcome you in." I knocked on the door, nobody answered. So I knocked again. He said, "Who the fuck is it?" I said, "It's Lance Corporal Yee." And I didn't know who he was. I didn't know the rank yet or nothing like that,
Yeah.
And he's like, "Who the fuck is Yee?" So he opened the door and he saw my rank. He's like, "You my new boot?" I said, "Yes, Lance Corporal." He said, "So you're a Lance Corporal?" I said, "Yes, Lance Corporal." He said, "Okay." He's like, "Well, guess what? I don't give two shits how you got that rank." He said, "I just got mine. We just got back from Iraq. You're gonna respect me and call me Lance Corporal." I said, "Roger that, Lance Corporal." He said, "All right, go back to your team leader." And I forgot what he told us to do. So then I went back to my team leader and he was chill. It was all the other team leaders and squad leaders that were fucking with me. Or us, actually, in our room. And then even the squad leader. So he was like, they had us doing different stuff, checking the catwalks and all that, and telling us who else is in the other rooms and stuff. So the squad leader came back down to our room as we were finishing up. He said, "All right, we're going to have a uniform inspection. You get your Class A's on." I said, "What the fuck? Hey, uniform inspections?" And he's like, "You got 30 minutes. So we hurried up, got everything on, got outside. And there's 4 or 5, maybe 6 boots sitting outside in their Class A's and their catwalk.
Yeah.
And he's walking down with a clipboard. I'm pretty sure there was nothing on that fucking clipboard. And he was holding it up like this, and he's checking and, just checking and fucking with us. And then he said, team leads, he said, grab their shit. And they just grabbed all of our shit and threw it off the catwalk. After we just straightened we made everything nice and neat. They dumped everything off the catwalk. And they said, you got 30 minutes to pick that shit back up and put it in your room.
God,
I said, damn, this is boot camp all over again.
worse. Worse.
I said, damn.
At least those guys were sergeants.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then that night we had fire watch. So we had to wear, we had fire watch. We had to get in our camis. We had to go through different, because there's 3 levels, right? 3 tiers of,
third deck,
yeah,
second deck, and first deck.
right, yeah. So we had to communicate with the other boots and the other platoons, and make a list for fire watch. And so we had our old school flashlights with the red lens on it, and our camis and our reflecting belt, and we're walking down the whole catwalk. Each person had about an hour, even though they had duty.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what duty is somebody's assigned duty, and they're in charge of the barracks, essentially.
barracks.
Yeah, the whole barracks from both ends.
The duty and the A duty.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they did that so that the duties didn't have to really worry about doing their part.
Well, they probably still did.
But yeah, that was my first week of just
We didn't
nonsense.
We didn't have fire watch, but I do remember whenever I was lost my key, my stuff being flown all over the room as well. And we hadn't had the chance to clean up this room yet, so obviously my stuff is now dirty with all this disgusting, shitbag stuff that he left.
Yeah.
Like this guy was like NJP, didn't care, got kicked out, like terrible guy. And so later that night, once everyone got back, it was later that night, I was introduced. We were told to, make sure all of our stuff's in our wall lockers and whatnot correctly, and et cetera. And then kind of explain where the chow hall was, who the other guys were. And then when they got back, we had to help them out, carry stuff in, clean guns, whatever. And then when the night came, that's when the, game started to happen. And my team leader was Lance Corporal Reed, and he roomed with a guy. Lance Corporal Reed was a shorter, skinnier dude, and he was rooming with a guy named he was Lance Corporal then too. He was Lance Corporal Popson. And Popson was kind of like my height, about 6'1", maybe a little taller, 6'2", 6'3", and wasn't jacked, but he was, country. Felt like, if you looked at him, you'd be like, oh, that's country strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he wasn't country, right? I think he's from like Pennsylvania or something like that. I can't remember. But so they people are messing with us, and eventually the other seniors, we had Alpha guys come over there. The guys that I told that Alpha sucks.
Yeah.
They found me too. Messed with us, and it kind of went on throughout the night. They tossing our stuff, yelling at us, telling us to go inspect and clean the catwalk. We're just like 1 a.m. right now.
Yeah.
Now they're drinking, everything. So they're just knocking on our door. We open the door. Good morning, Lance Corporal. Good morning, Corporal, whatever. And they're just come inside. I'll drink this. And you hand us a beer. And I remember reading. So the other guy, he was responsible for a short period of time the other guy that was in my room. But Reed came in. And he was like, and they were both, him and Popson were like, look, I'm going to bed. So if I'm the one knocking on your door, or he was like, if someone knocks on your door, you're going to lock your door. If someone knocks on your door, you do not answer it.
Yeah.
He said, you only answer if you see me or Popson.
Yeah.
I said, good to go, Lance Corporal. He was like, okay, cool, because this is enough. So he walked out, and sure enough, throughout the whole night, people are banging on our door. And then the next morning, they're like, oh, you guys didn't want to answer the door? Wait till the night. And then, but I kind of I took that when I became a senior.
Yeah.
I took what they did, and because I don't know why, but I guess whenever you're a senior, you get a new boot drop. It's just like, it's my time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt the same way. We'll get in that a little bit further down with my experience when I had my first boot drop. Yeah. But yeah, my team lead was the same way. Kind of like that. He he came by knowing that everybody was fucking with us. Again, he was my mentor, you could say, in the Marines. Going through that whole process of learning what the fleet is the first week. Again, when I first met him, he was just cool, collective. You know what I mean? He didn't really fuck with us, and he said the same thing. Just lock your doors and only answer if I come and knock. And he was the only one who said that to us. So I kind of, looked at him like, okay, he's a Marine that I can go to if I need anything, if I have any questions or whatever, because this is all new to us, especially coming into this. And well, from my experience, feeling like it's boot camp all over again. Like, damn, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was rough for the first week.
So I dealt with it, and again, we'll get into that too. But whenever I became a senior, I dealt with that, and some of my junior guys, and there were some obstacles we had to overcome, which we'll get into. But it felt for me the same thing. It was like, dude, I just did all this, and now is this how the rest of the Marine Corps is going to be?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is not what I signed up to do.
Yeah.
Like, I thought, where's the brotherhood? What they were talking about in the Marine Corps, or
right.
in boot camp. Oh, you're a part of the brotherhood, and everyone, like, you're going to get respect and all this other stuff. And it's like, you lying? Mother, you know what I'm saying? Like, you lying.
I mean, at first it didn't feel that way. But when you go through it, and you actually understand it, it has to be earned. Especially from my experience, because these guys just got back from Iraq. They've done the whole, work up and everything together for the first year or so, and then they did a 7-8 month tour, and then now they see me, especially a squad leader who's the same rank as me, you know what I mean? So they, they're like, essentially it's just a initiation. Like, you have to earn this. Like, there's nothing given to you. And at the time, I didn't feel. It didn't feel. I thought I earned it, but looking back on it, I did do something. I did do some of the things different, but I still kind of put that into my boots' heads as well. You know what I mean? Their mindset. Like, yeah, you made it, but the camaraderie that we have already before you got here. And you have to earn that camaraderie, right? I'm still going to respect you and treat you like a Marine. I'm not going to treat you like shit. You know what I'm saying? But that camaraderie and brotherhood within our platoon and squad, that you have to earn this. You have to go through everything we got to go through again to earn that.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely got to earn that camaraderie. I get it. The way it was explained to me, especially from as soon as time went on, those squad leaders that had combat experience and all that, they were like, look, if you can't handle this stupid stuff when it's time to execute orders and it's time when bullets start flying, they're like, the training value of it is, if this stresses you out, bullets and stuff are going to be 10 times worse. So I guess that's how they kind of justified it and kind of explained it, why that happens. But it's also this, like you said, it's initiation. Yeah. It's like, that's how it is. Like, I'm sure for you, you're like 2-2 for life. For me, I'm like, ain't nobody better than 1-6.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just because once you're initiated, if he was just like, hi, welcome guys, come on, sit down.
Right.
You'd be
exactly.
like, whatever.
Yeah.
What is 1-6? Who cares? Yeah. But it's take pride in it at that point, now that you're a part of something, and then you remember that forever. So then, getting into it, it was so then going into trying to get like your rifles, getting assigned everything.
Mm-hmm.
I remember before we got to the battalion headquarters and all that, we had to go to SIF and go get all of our stuff.
Yeah.
Assigned all our stuff, with those contract civilian workers that work at SIF. Ooh, didn't like those, especially when EAS comes around. But you get all your stuff, get your flaks, you get your Kevlar, everything like that.
Yeah.
And so kind of make sure we set that up. There was an SOP for the company and how we put all of our stuff together and how it looked and all that. And majority of the squad leaders, or at least my squad leader, he lived off base with his wife, or on base, whatever. So he wasn't really around too much. I think we had a couple of squad leaders. I would say a couple. We had definitely one squad leader that was just over the top. Like everything had to be perfect, and
Like way too motivated?
in a sense, yes. But he, in my, like, even still to this day, he was just being a dick to be a dick.
Okay.
And it's like in my head now, knowing what I know now, my life experience, what I know from the job that I do now versus everything that we went through, it's just like looking back at it, I was like, that is not the leader that I would want to be leading me into combat. You know what I'm saying? If that's what it came into, I did not want. And he knew a lot. Like he was, and his squad knew a lot because he would just micromanage them. I felt like, to the point to where it was like they're constantly doing something.
Yeah.
If you have downtime, you know, it's like, okay, now we're gonna work on this. Now we're gonna work on. There's like no breaks. And I guess that's I mean, if you're pushing, that's a good thing. But there's got to be times where you're just unwinding, and I don't know. I wouldn't say he was a terrible leader, but that's just not my. It's not my style. I hated his style. And which brings me into, you know, we also got the battalion also got their officer boot drops as well, and they were like fresh out. Some of them listened to whoever was teaching them in their OIS or school, whatever school they go to, and they were like, basically, from what I was told, they were saying some of the, I guess it was gunnery sergeants and stuff like that, teaching them that's their drill instructors versus however their college, whatever they go through.
Yeah, OCS.
And they were saying, you know, you guys are brand new. You guys read this in a book. You guys have knowledge. Your platoon sergeants, staff NCOs, they got experience and brought a lot of it. And they're like, they probably use that word. It would behoove you to listen to them and learn from them, and not go in there and saying, I'm a lieutenant, you got to listen to me, I'm the boss. Yeah. A few of them did it. A few of them didn't. The few that did it, trashed platoons, like always.
Or they didn't last long. They were out. Because I remember we went through probably at least 3 or 4.
Yeah. So there was a big wave. It was like between officer boot drops and enlisted boot drops, it came in a big wave. So then, like, the first couple field ops, we had this lieutenant. And then the next one, we had another one. And then the next one, it was our last lieutenant for the deployment, before we went on during deployment after that. And I remember our first, it was like one of the very first field operations in Camp Lejeune, and doing a range, and we're like camping out across the road or whatever. But he got mad at us for something. It was like nighttime, and he was angry with us, and he started yelling. And you just hear like all the enlisted just like chuckle, because it was just weird. Like he didn't know how to yell at you. Yeah. And I was like, you sound like a child trying to yell at somebody. Like it's crazy. So he did not have. He became a good lieutenant though. But he just didn't. It was just like, no, like that's not your role in this platoon. I can tell you that. Let the squad leaders handle that, and platoon sergeant. But then when we got our last one, he was a recon. Was he a gunny or staff sergeant from recon? He was, prior to everything that's happened, he was like prior to 9/11, the big pushes. He was in the reserves, and then he went active. I mean, this guy. We ended up throughout the time, we ended up looking him up. And I'm like Silver Star, Bronze Star, like got ambushed, took a 50 cal, dragged like 6 dudes back. Damn. And just really good guy. He was like yoked, dude. Like he was yoked. Yeah. But he, till this day, he's one of the best leaders I've ever had. Like, okay, that's who I was like, if I want to be anybody, it's like that. Yeah. When it was time to be firm and you guys are stupid, he did it properly. When it was time to teach, he did it the correct way.
Yeah.
When people were messing with us, like the squad leaders kept going stuff too far, he would check them and bring them down. It's like, because basically he was saltier than them, but he never presented it that way.
Right.
Right. The squad leaders kind of presented it that way.
Yeah.
So he would check them. Like one of the squad leaders didn't have a combat action ribbon. He knew that squad leader had been in combat or whatever, but he just never got his ribbon. And I guess that was a conversation behind closed doors between them goofing off or whatever, venting or whatever. And I remember he was messing with somebody. He was like, "Oh, where's your combat action ribbon? Oh, you ain't got one. Oh, so you do you know what you're talking about? Yeah, you do. Well, where's your ribbon?" And something like just kind of like be more humble. That's kind of how it was. It was like you need to be more humble than what you are.
Right.
And he's your lieutenant. B, he was a higher rank in the flat black community than you were. He was staff sergeant, gunny, whatever, transferred to becoming officer. And just kind of checking him. Yeah. And I really appreciated that because I was so sick. There was one thing about me, and I took a lot. So if you were like, you just got like, what the fuck, like, whatever, come do this, come do that, good to go. I just did it.
Yeah.
Whatever. I just did it.
Yeah.
I remember one of the senior dudes I had, and this is a little later on, but I had bought a motorcycle. It was a weekend, and I was going to go ride just to get out, do my thing. And I had my helmet, and I said, "Good evening, Lance Corporal, whatever they were at that point." And as he walked by me, he smacked my helmet out of my hand, and it hit the ground. So I stopped, and everything, like, I wasn't a fighter. Like, I wasn't one that was fight for just to fight. But I was, aggressive enough to where I can kick someone's ass. Yeah. And it was like, when it was time to do it, it was time to do it. If it wasn't, I'm not sitting there to pick a fight. Like, I'm not trying to, at that point, I wasn't trying to cause any trouble. I didn't want to have anything on my back. I wanted to try to do my best to do whatever we were doing. And I remember that, and it took everything in me not to, like, begin that. It really, like, and I've already been in the fleet for a little bit, so it kind of was like, dude, like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It took me everything, and I was like, not worth it. Yeah. I picked it up. He eventually said he's sorry. He was like, "I didn't really mean for that to come out of your hand. I was just trying to hit your helmet." Yeah. So I was like, well, whatever. Like, I don't know why you're touching me in the first place. Like, I'm a fucking grown-ass man just like you are. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's wild. Yeah. But, yeah, we had a great lieutenant, and we had a tool of a damn staff sergeant. Like you said, the clipboard thing you were talking about, man, he made us go back to boot camp for field day. And nobody passed. Yeah. We had to, like, if you had civilian clothing, it was marked off. Like, are you high? Yeah. You know what I mean? And I don't know. Yeah. That's just how it was for my leadership throughout my first before my first deployment, during my first deployment. Yeah. Including your workups? So yeah, at that point we had those guys for a while, and that was a workups and deployment. Right. The staff sergeant can catch it. If you're watching this, and I'm not gonna say your name, but if you're watching this, comment, and we can get together. We'll put some gloves on, and we got you. Yeah, yeah. My staff sergeant was pretty cool. My lieutenant, platoon commander. Again, like you said, it's a boot drop. From what I remember. He was all right. He wasn't that type of lieutenant, because I'm pretty sure all you guys who have been in, you've dealt with this and dealt with, brand new platoon commanders that's coming in, and they use their rank, as something, right? And again, like my team leader and squad leader, they just got back from deployment. So, they have more experience than damn brand new platoon commander that just got assigned to us. Right. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. Our first one, the one that I knew. That's good. Second one, man, I think I'm not gonna say his name, but I remember him saying, "My dad's like a major in so and so battalion." He was one of those. Yeah. He's like, "So you're gonna listen to what I have to say because I know a lot more." Even though he just got out of OCS. Let me stop. Hey, I wasn't even part of that. But if you're watching and you know my brother, comment. You can get the gloves too. We can go put some gloves on, some headgear. We can do some McMap. We'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
But yeah, even though, so my mindset, again, when you go in, just take it all in. It's going to feel stupid, and some of it is, but my mindset was I took all the good leadership from each leader that I knew in my squad,
Yep.
in my platoon.
Yep.
And I took that in and said, okay, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take that and use that towards my leadership, because being a leader is tough for a lot of people that has never been in that situation or had to play that role. There's some good things that you do pick up, and there's stuff that you're still learning, because you never not learn in a leadership position. There's always something to learn.
You should.
Yeah.
Should be learning every time.
So then, there might be times where you do fuck up. Be like, well, damn, you think about it later. You're like, damn, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said it that way, So, but I also picked up the bad, and said, okay, I'm never doing that, when I'm in that position.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, the first week was rough. Again, this went on. My squad leader even came in to us and said he was going to do a room inspection. And he said, I want everything clean. And at that point, I got tired of it. So of the, the hazing kind of thing. And so I got
hazing. What are you talking about?
yeah,
Training value.
training value, yeah. So I got a little arrogant, and so I made a bet with him. And he said, I better not find any dirt in this room. Nothing. He said, I'm going to come in here with a white glove. I'm going to touch everything. He's like, if you do, you're going to go outside, and we're going to be, in the sand pit or whatever it was. I can't remember. So I said, Lance Corporal, I'll make a bet. And he said, what's that? And I said, for every dirt you find, I'll do 20 push-ups. He said, really? I said, yes, Lance Corporal. He said, all right, go ahead. You got, I forgot how long he gave us. I think he gave us plenty of time to clean up. He gave us an hour or so to clean up this little room, about half the size of this room. And he came back in. We stood at attention. He said, y'all done? I said, we said, yes, Lance Corporal. And he pulled out a toothpick and went to one of the electrical sockets, one of the holes. He said, dirt, that's 20 push-ups. He said, start pushing. Then he flipped it around, went to the other hole. So, there's two sockets with 6 holes.
Yeah, total.
Yeah. So, and then in the room, I think there was like 4 electrical sockets or something around.
Yeah.
He did put on his white glove and, touch top of the wall locker, no dirt, but he got me on the wall sockets. And from then on, I never made another bet or be that arrogant to think that I was going to outsmart somebody else with, something simple as cleaning your room. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was pretty swole by then.
You messed around, you found out.
Yeah,
That's all
basically, yeah.
But yeah, the barracks are trash. They're old. They're probably newer now. I think the new Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps, that was one of his biggest things.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were being built as I was getting out, and I got there, the newer barracks, and realizing that you're 3 people in a room that's what, 15 by 15,
Something like that.
with a bathroom and a sink.
Yeah.
And you got to share this room with 3 other dudes.
Yeah.
3, there's a top bunk, bottom bunk, and a single bunk, and then there's all 3 wall lockers, so that takes up a lot of room. And we got gigged every time, but it was, stained tile, the old, like, 1990s tile that was in the showers, and there's mold everywhere. Like, it's bad. It's Marine Corps needs to do a better job, but, like,
well, they're working on it now.
How I'm supposed to? It's too late. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
we made do. We made do. It worked out.
No, of course.
But sharing that room with all those people, and it's just coming to find out the new barracks that are being built you get your own room, you have your own shower, you have a walk-in closet, and it's like, what?
Oh, you get your own room in the new barracks?
I think it's 2 people per room.
Okay.
But it's pretty big. Like, you have like a little desk space to do your work. Like, what is it? MOL. those classes.
Oh yeah.
And then
yeah.
you know
Ugh.
you have a shower that you either have your own shower, or you share a shower, but it's brand new. And you get a closet that's actually like a walk-in closet. You can put like your civilian. It looks nicer. I mean, compared to what we would do, it's not like house nice, but it's nice.
Right. Yeah.
And then your little recreation rooms for each floor isn't just a 30 by 20 room with a bunch of like old tables and like some like what is it called? The sand where you make a terrain model little big ass thing.
Yeah.
There's not one of those in there, and there's a TV that doesn't really work.
Yeah. None of the TVs worked in ours.
Old couches. And
Yeah, it was a nasty ass old couch. There was an old foosball table, and half the people on there were missing legs and heads and stuff.
Yeah,
like
now their little thing has like 7-8 TVs per break room with Xbox and PlayStation there, and they have a pool table, and they're like in their you can just walk out your room, go down the hall, and that's what you got. And it's like, wow, like if I had that might made it a little bit better, you know.
Yeah.
You had to go to the Single Marines Club to go down there.
I never went to that bitch.
No, I never went through it either.
I
Dude.
never went there.
I don't
didn't
know.
even know there was one on base.
Yeah, dude.
I thought it was just like NCO's club and officers club. I didn't even know there was a single
who
Marine
cared?
club.
You know, like no
Oh,
one.
hell no. Yeah.
We eventually did go there because we wanted to play pool, and you know the junior guys. We didn't want to go out in town.
Mm.
We who we're gonna run into. You know, like didn't want to run into none of the seniors. Didn't want to run into someone that's gonna tell on us for drinking too much, whatever. So we just went to the Single Marines little club.
Yeah.
It was as lame as you probably thought it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just trying to make it home. Like I remember, I had bought a for one of the field days. So field days for the fleet are Thursdays, and I know for a fact that the people inspecting our rooms that lived off base, their houses were nasty. Because I was like, there's no way your house is as clean as what our barracks room is, and you're gigging me on how dirty my barracks room is because it's old.
Yeah.
Let me go to your house and inspect that thing. I guarantee it's disgusting. You want to play hypocrite. Our staff sergeant was that staff sergeant.
Yeah.
That sergeant I was talking to you about, he was that sergeant.
Yeah.
Like white glove every time, and
Yeah.
just stupid. Like, why do I make sure that there's a white glove can be clean with just a small amount of gray on it because it's dust, because you just wiped your hand over the entire room and there's a small amount of gray on your. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's just, I remember I had bought this couch, or technically acquired this couch. I can't remember. Found this couch, so I put it in our room and trying to make it homey, like, whatever, put a flag up of, the Marine Corps flag or something like that, and just trying to make it to where it's like, it doesn't feel like you're just coming, it doesn't feel like you're leaving work to come back to work.
Yeah.
And then we had all,
I'm surprised y'all had room in there to put a couch.
there wasn't really room. No, like the couch was like in the middle of the room.
Yeah. We had lawn chairs.
We got messed up. Well, they got angry about it, but I was like, what are you going to do? Like, it's already in here. Like,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? And put TVs in our wall lockers with our bought Xboxes or whatever, and put them in our wall lockers.
Yeah.
That way, because what they couldn't do for inspection is unlock our wall lockers.
Right. Yeah.
So last minute dirty stuff goes in that wall locker, and you lock it,
Yeah. Of course.
and you make sure it's locked. Because when it's not locked, they look through it, and all that dirty crap's in there. You're gonna get screwed up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I had my computer, laptop, and I had the Xbox that you had bought me, and eventually bought another one whenever, and that Xbox was old when you came back from your second deployment or whatever it was, you bought it for me. And a little small TV, it couldn't be out during inspection. So we just kept it in our wall lockers. So when we wanted to play, we just opened our wall lockers, sat in our wall lockers, and sat there and played. You know what I mean? To get by. And we would be cleaning until like 1 o'clock in the morning. So I was like, okay, if it smells good, they're going to think it's clean. Let's take it a step further. If we bleach the entire room to where the point that they can't stand because their eyes are burning, they're not going to inspect it as hard. So we would dump bleach in the toilet, all in the shower, we would wake up like 30 minutes before inspection or an hour, take out another thing, take out your trash.
Yeah.
So, you clean it all day, your trash is taken out, you get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, grab a bottle of water, you drink it or whatever, and you throw it in the trash can. If that bottle of water if the cap of the bottle is in the trash can, fail.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what it's for. Like, I can understand if it was like disgusting pizza boxes and disgustingness. It's a water bottle.
Yeah.
But we had to go take it out, you know, and I would dump bleach everywhere. Then I get a rag with bleach and put it on top of wall lockers. Sure enough, they come in there and it'd just be like they could barely breathe. And we're sitting there just
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to hold our breath as much as we can, you know, like you needed a gas mask to come in our room. And it worked. Like they would get out quicker. And I was like, yep. As I became more seasoned, especially when we had like, you know, we had like company first sergeant would come inspect rooms. And he wasn't really, it was like, smells clean, looks clean, cool. No white glove, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But I would play like Beethoven. To make it classical, nice and everything. And he was like, he walked in, he was like, is that Beethoven? I was like, yes, first sergeant. He's like, feels, I like that. And I was like, he walked out and my squad leader looked back at me, he was like, kill you. I'm like, what the fuck? Just trying to, you know, lighten the mood, man. Like, good Lord, it's not that deep.
Lighten the mood.
And yeah, field day until 1 o'clock in the morning. Every week, every Thursday is like that. And it's just, you know.
The whole time he was in there every Thursday?
Every Thursday. If we wasn't in the field, every Thursday we had
Not
a clean.
us.
Yeah. Especially from before. I told you we had a tool of a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
So if the platoon was messed up, he would get on the squad leaders and tell them how trash they are and all that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had a couple of other squad leaders that were sultry. Our platoon sergeant was a fast company dude.
Okay.
So you know how those get treated.
Yeah.
Especially when they have his mindset and not as humble. And they're like, I had this extra training. I was in Bahrain for this long. I was doing this. And they're just coming in with like, I'm a peacock. You know, I got a bigger chest than you. I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, these sergeants are like, we had a sergeant from like, that was like in the final pushes of like Fallujah and was in there with 1-6 and all that during all that. Was it with Fallujah? I think it was. I can't remember. One of the you know, big pushes into some of the stuff that was going on, and he was on the tail end of it. And I remember he was just like, you can just tell he was like, this guy, like, it's just a tool. Like, fuck this guy. And that's who I was like, that makes sense. Like, you're messing with us when we need to be messed with, looking back on it now, but when it's like unnecessary,
right?
You're like, this is retarded.
Yeah.
And it's just, to me, that was it. So yeah, field day every Thursday.
Damn. Yeah, we it wasn't like that. Our first week was, I'll say maybe first week or so, it was probably like that. After that, it was game on because we were training, you know, and starting our workups and stuff to our next deployment. So
yeah, so let's get in some workups.
Yeah. The first one I remember, we did a field up and we had a hump. It was like 5K, 6K or something like that.
So before we get into the workups, we'll just quickly explain that, you know, you kind of know where you're about to deploy prior to the workup beginning, because each workup is different prior to where you deploy. It's like if you're going to...
Yeah.
So like you know, I know yours... My first workup was for the MU for the Middle East, and the second one was for my second deployment was Norway. Two totally different trainings, workups. Yeah. Some similarities, some mandatory ranges we had to do. Yeah. But two completely different workups in the aspect of it. Same thing with the guys. Like whenever I was getting out, they were going to go to Japan. Their workup was completely different. You know, more jungle warfare workup because that's what they'll be doing in Japan. Yeah. So I'm sure. Just to put that out there, that's why our experiences may be different. Different workups are for different reasons because of where you might be deploying. You kind of have that where you're deploying kind of sort of. Right. Before, you know, long before you deploy, you kind of have an idea where the next unit's going, where your unit's going next. Yeah.
Well, at the time, I didn't think about none of that. You know. So
well, yeah, when you're a new guy, yeah.
Yeah, when you're the new guy, again, none of that crossed my mind. What we're doing and how we're doing it. You know, I just wanted to make sure again that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You know, for the squad and for my team leader and squad leader. Yeah. But yeah, both of my deployments were for Iraq because my first deployment was in 2006, but it was a MU, But we were,
Damn, you deployed quick.
yeah. So 2006,
I think I deployed quick too.
probably because the
2016.
workup was only like 6 or 7 months.
It was ended.
And so
I
my initial
I
one,
must have deployed quick too.
my initial one was the Mew. But where our Mew was. So for those who don't know where the Mew is a Marine Expeditionary Unit.
Yep.
And essentially you're there. You're going to be doing all sorts of training exercises during this Mew with could be different countries with their army. You'll be in different areas and training and stuff like that, and you're just there as a
big quick reaction force.
yeah.
Battalion on standby.
Right. You're just there on standby
Like,
just in case they need you.
So the way it was put to us, a MEU, the reason why we have it is because we can deploy a battalion-sized mechanized battalion within 24 hours anywhere in the world,
Yeah.
which is insane.
Yeah. And there's always, I believe there's always at least 2 or 3 always rotating through.
Yes.
While
different areas.
other battalions are already deployed in wherever they're deployed.
Right.
So that's a big, like you said, it is insane. If you look at it from a bigger perspective, it's ridiculously smart,
100%.
from a battle perspective.
Yeah. Someone with a college degree figured that out probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, not us.
They didn't really take that, but whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, my first workup was back to the field, and we did basically what we did in SOI. We had to dig fighting holes, and they essentially wanted to see what we obtained and remembered from SOI. And I think again it was like a 5K or a 6K out there. They legitimately go through your ILB packs, and they tell you to pack all this, and then at 4:30 in the morning they want you staged outside, ready to go in formation.
30 minutes for 30 minutes for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and then while we're out there, here comes your platoon sergeant, and then your platoon commander. I'm pretty sure the platoon commander came a little bit later. Your platoon sergeant was out there. And then we start unpacking everything, and he has a list. If you don't have it, you're screwed. So you better go up there and make sure you pack everything.
You didn't have like bunk inspections where you have to put all your packing lists on the bunks for the day prior?
No, we did ours outside.
We did a couple.
Yeah,
that too.
No. I think we did one, and it was on the bunk and on the floor. We had to lay the tarp down. I think it was. And we had to lay everything out that we could fit on the bunk and then on the floor.
Yep.
But I think it was only one time. Everything else was outside. They made us pack everything, go outside, and then pack it back up and put it back in for the next day.
Yeah, we've had that before too. And again, my platoon sergeant was a tool.
Yeah.
So there was times where we were out there in fucking alphas.
Ooh, yeah. That sucks.
The only platoon. Oh man. Like, this is so stupid. All of our gear out in alphas, and so one time it was like our dress blue, what is it, B? Like the Charlie shirt with the dress blue pants.
Something like that. I don't remember.
I don't remember that one. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Hardly ever wore it.
No.
Wore it for that inspection. That's about it.
You got Charlies, your Deltas, and I think your Deltas were like your khaki top and blue trousers.
Yeah, like there's
Something like that.
Dress blue alphas, dress blue bravos,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we had to do too. And if you didn't have it, you were screwed. I remember I was missing that canteen cup. I have no idea where that canteen cup went. And I went out in town later that day to buy one.
Yeah.
But it was just like I got screwed up for a canteen cup. Something I never used. I packed it always, never used it.
You never used your canteen cup? I did.
I didn't have a reason to. MREs were there, and then my canteen. I didn't use my canteens either. I had to pack those, but I packed Nalgene bottles.
A what?
Nalgene, isn't that what it's called? Nalgene bottle? The little clear twist tops, the plastic.
Oh, yeah.
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 That's what I drink out of because the canteens are used.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
People have dipped in them before, pissed in them, and I'm like, yeah, they're clean, but like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh well. Again, I'm way further. Before you, so we didn't have none of those. So we had to use what they gave us.
No.
Yeah.
I did my best not to use anything that they gave me because it was just disgusting and not practical. Like, I didn't use my canteen cup. A, I didn't really drink coffee. B, I just had everything in my, if it needed to be heated up, MRE. Heated up in MRE. Like, what did I need the canteen cup
Even when
for?
you became a senior, you didn't use it? No. I drank coffee.
Really? No, I never drank coffee.
I drank coffee, and I
wasn't
also
a coffee
cooked.
drinker.
I also cooked ramen in it.
Well, so I had a jet boil.
Yeah, see, we weren't allowed to have none of that stuff.
Yeah, I had a jet boil. And that's what I would pack. I'd pack.
I don't even know what a jet boil is.
It's just a little,
It's a little
camping.
miniature stove.
It's like a cup, like one of those Stanley cups kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And then everything, all like the tank and the stand fit inside the cup. And it all comes into a cup.
Okay.
So you take it out, screw it at the bottom, the butane or propane.
You had to pump it.
You don't got to pump it. That's a different.
Oh,
We'll get into that for workup too. But it's just it's modernized. It's like a stove. You click it, it heats up. This little cup. You put water in it. You put your noodles in it and your stuff. Eat it out of that.
Yeah.
So I would pack. Well, we call it because we're Korean ramen, but ramen noodles would pack with ramen noodles and Chef Boyardee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And tuna packets.
Yeah.
Just so I didn't have to eat. Because also when you're a boot, I didn't get to pick my MREs.
No.
I got whatever's left, and it's usually like 6 jalapeno beef patties, and I hated those things.
Yeah.
I hated them because the squad leaders would get their first pick. You know what they always pick?
Yeah.
Chili Mac.
Chili Mac. Yeah.
Chili Mac was their go-to because it had the Skittles, the sour Skittles, and the Chili Mac was pretty decent.
Yeah.
You didn't mind. It was kind of like Chef Boyardee spaghetti almost with our hamburger helper. That's kind of how it was.
Yeah.
And then the other ones they would just get for like the snacks, the good snacks, like the other ones that had like Reese's or M&Ms and like pound cake or we had the ones with the shakes, so
Yeah.
but you get jalapeno and beef patty. The only good thing in that thing is like a Pop-Tart, and it's one of those stupid cinnamon ones. Hands down, dude, I will not eat Pop-Tarts today because of the Marine Corps. Yeah, because dude, even with the field, so like even if we're on the field and they'd bring us breakfast, that's usually the meal that we would get from Motor T or whoever would come out. They bring the powdered eggs that was crap and those little disgusting sausages.
Yeah.
And then they always brought Pop-Tarts, and it was always stupid cherry or blueberry, mostly cherry, and I hate cherry. But that's all that's all I ate. That was I don't want powdered eggs.
Yeah.
I had the meat. I would eat it, but it was like that's all I ate. So I had always, and then the cinnamon, disgusting, not even a brand Pop-Tart because couldn't be Pop-Tart because of copyright reasons or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like that's when you're a junior guy, and that's all you're able to eat and get. It's like I get offered a Pop-Tart now, so I need no. I can't believe you don't no Pop-Tart, no, nope.
No, when I was we didn't have what'd you call it? Jalapeno beef patties.
I'm sorry. No, not the jalapeno. I'm sorry. It wasn't that. It's the pork sausage and gravy.
Yeah.
I know you had
breakfast.
that because mine was expired by like 6 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I was going to say. That's
pork sausage and gravy. That's the one I was meant to say. That one is disgusting.
That's the one that was
so
left
nasty.
for us.
And we would do a short or something. We'll do an episode where we get into MREs. I have a few.
We can do one like a learn and cook kind of thing for MREs. For those who don't know, but
it ain't gonna be sausage and gravy. I tell you that.
No,
that stuff was so nasty. I thought it'd be pretty good. So I remember when I first got to the fleet, and got it. I was like, yeah, pork sausage and gravy. I love gravy. I love breakfast food.
Yeah.
And then you open it and it looks like just
throw up.
Yeah, and then you eat it and it tastes like throw up, and you're like, what sanus in the MRE factory made this thing?
Yeah, yeah, that's what the ones that they always left us. Either that one or the I think it was like which I didn't mind. It was a pork rib, or I think it was, or something like that, boneless rib. It kind of reminded me of
still disgusting, but it was better than.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of McDonald's McRib, boneless rib.
I'll take McDonald's
rib.
over it every day.
But yeah, they always took all the good ones. The chili mac, the Chef Boyardee one, ravioli one.
Yeah,
I think that was like the next best.
We got like it was either pork sausage and gravy or like vegetarian tortellini.
That wasn't that bad with hot sauce.
Anything's not bad with hot sauce.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I come with a little. That's what I would carry. I would carry a bag or a bottle of Texas Pete. That's the next thing I always carried in my pack.
Yeah.
It's one of those big bottles, or I'd go grab the from like the PX or like one of the gas stations or whatever.
Right.
The Texas Pete packets, and I would
Yeah.
just stuff a bunch of them. I put them in a PX bag, like ketchup, whatever. I put it all in a PX bag and close it, and that's what I'd pack. So that way I knew I had, if it tasted, because I was getting crappy MREs, I can make it, somewhat edible.
Well, we weren't allowed to go to get any of that. Our first.
I don't know if it was allowed to. They didn't. They didn't.
Well, I mean,
go through my
they
pack
checked ours
during the field op. So
yeah. So we that was our first workup, and we were out there for probably 2 weeks, and then we had to go into during that time. Our platoon was the helo platoon, so we had to learn how to rappel out of a helo. Which we did a little brief, introduction in boot camp.
that's crazy because I was a trap platoon for mine.
As far as
My first deployment.
your first
my
deployment?
platoon was the trap platoon.
Okay.
So, so because we had different billets per platoon, we slightly modifications to the workup per that section. So trap platoon is if a pilot goes out and conducts a mission and they go down, we have to go to the last transceive spot to go look for the pilot and retrieve him, whether he's dead or alive. And then we had to, do whatever we had to do. So we had to do that. We had to also learn rappelling.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we
That's
did
crazy.
that.
I didn't know we were both kind of assigned to a helo.
Yeah.
On our first tour or our first
Deployment. Yeah. Yeah. But that was a little bit further down. In between that, we did a little more advanced. We did a lot of stuff out in the squad bay.
buddy rushing.
Buddy rushing.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness.
Did a lot of. You're still gonna exercise, so you do PT every morning, or at least we did. Every morning we did PT. Again, my squad leader was pretty motivated, so we always did the squad leader trail. I can't remember if that's what it's called or not, but it was like 3 or 4 mile run through the woods, and it was a specific trail for squad leaders to take, I guess. We also done a 9-mile run with him.
So PT every morning. Sergeant Spoor was he hated running, but that dude could run 9 miles without stopping.
Yeah.
Like he was just that, he wasn't going to quit before you were going to quit before him.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we did one of the 9 miles because he was upset with us for whatever we did, and that was our punishment. Cool, 9 miles. The other one that I told you about, again, I'm not going to say his name, but he was like I'll get into another story on deployment, but there was at one point on deployment where he ate nothing but like rice and he ate like a small handful of rice and a couple of beans, and he got shredded. That's what his goal was, to get shredded.
Yeah. He
got shredded because he didn't eat nothing and worked out half the time. But I remember sometimes he would take us out into these long whatevers, and they all have something good about them. At least I tried to find it. So he was big on like people carries and like litter carries, 9 lines, and all that. Like if you didn't know a 9 line, we're continuing. We're pushing more and more PT.
Yeah.
So we would make sure we knew our 9 lines so that we didn't have to run 10 miles with boots and utes. Which to me, boots and utes is more realistic than getting in PT gear and running 9 miles.
Yeah.
I know I can't think of a time where I've ran 9 miles when I needed to in PT gear. I was like, if we're going to be in combat, we're not in PT gear.
Yeah.
We're going to be in boots and utes, so it makes more sense to run in boots and utes. And I doubt we're going to push 9 miles with a heavy pack and all of our gear. We're not going to be running 9 miles. Might hump 9 miles, but we ain't sprinting and jogging 9 miles. Like, if we're running for 9 miles, we need to call, Broken Arrow. We're screwed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This ain't Lone Survivor. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're
Yeah.
screwed. We ain't falling down mountains and stuff. So,
Well, I mean, you never know.
yeah, you never
Depending
know.
on the situation that you're at.
But yeah, PT, I mean, like I said, my platoon commander was, he did like Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu and all that.
Okay.
And he was yoked, but he could also run, and he was big on they called it HIT in the Marine Corps, but the high intensity training, he was big on that. So that's what, short sprints and et cetera.
Yeah.
And because our platoon sergeant could also run forever. You wouldn't think it looking at him, but he could also run forever. So, of course, whenever he led PT, which we always did something wrong, we'd be running forever.
Mm-hmm.
Then he'd get mad at me because I'm sitting there recon shuffling in the back, falling out. And then I'm pretty sure my team leader's like, I'm pretty sure Popson, because he was also 6'4" and kind of, like, we're not built for running for long distance. Like, I could carry more than everyone else in the platoon just about for a longer distance. I was a big guy that could hump a lot, and I'm sure he was the same way. That's just how our bodies are built and our genetics. So I'm sure he would fall back to make sure that I was, to get up back with the platoon. But I know what you were doing.
Yeah. You
were also falling out.
Yeah. You were the excuse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go check on you back there right quick. Let me.
Because he knew I was going to run slow, so it was a little easier. And they would
Yeah.
be up there, and doing, planks or something, waiting for the guys that fall out to get to the rest. As soon as you get up there, take off again. I was like, we're just going to keep doing this because I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not a marathon sprinter. I never have been. Like,
Right.
you got to understand that I'm just not going to be a runner. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just not.
Well, when we did that 9-mile run, after, because I 3 miles, 4 miles, I was tired. But after that, my body was so numb, I didn't even feel it, So
Yeah.
the rest of the 3.5 miles we had left to go do and coming back, it was like, it was nothing, because I done became numb now at this point. Because we, on this trail, prior, it rained, there was puddles, so he made a jump in these puddles and low crawl through them, and now we're soaking wet, going through the woods and then coming back. I forgot what that road was called, on the backside where near the lake.
That's probably near our barracks. That's where we ran. But
Yeah.
that stretched pretty far. So
Yeah, but I forgot what that was.
PT Road, I think it's
It
called.
could, yeah,
That's
it
where
might
everyone. That's
be.
when everyone runs. That's where everybody runs.
Yeah, well, we had to come back through that way to go back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we didn't.
But
He was
yeah,
very motivated.
PT every morning. Some of my workup was, we did fast roping at one point, and I remember how scared I was at fast roping. So, when we rappel, you have a break. You're fast roping, that's your break.
Yeah.
Your hands and your muscles.
But in your feet.
And your feet.
Yeah.
Right? But it was like, it goes in between the arches of your feet.
Yeah.
And then you just hold on it, and you have to swing out. So when you grab it, you have to swing outboard so you don't hit the tower or the helo pad or the helo steps.
Yeah.
And so we did it like slick. We did it with assault packs, and we had our LB packs with all of our stuff in it. And I was like, there's a flak jacket and a Kevlar in here. That's already heavy enough. On top of everything else, you want me to free fall from this rope? He did it. I mean, it worked out, But one of the guys, he just didn't have, he was terrible at pull-ups. He was another Asian dude. His name was Win. He just didn't have the upper body strength to do, it's just how he was, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
Come to find out, he had some kind of medical issue, which made him retain water, and it stopped his muscle or something like that. He ended up getting med-sept, I think, after the first deployment.
It stopped what?
It stopped muscle growth or something like that. He retained
okay.
water because he'd be skinny, but he'd kind of be chunky in the face,
Okay.
and it didn't make any sense.
Right.
So he always caught stuff for that. But come to find out, it was medical reasons for that. But he stepped out and he had his LB pack. He stepped out, and I remember I was at the bottom of the tower, and I wasn't looking at him, and I just hear boom. Someone hit the ground. I look back, and I just see a bunch of docs run to him, and he was unconscious. And I was like, this dude just died.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, our platoon commander's like, this is why you need to do pull-ups, because you're disgusting. You don't, like, he was his main thing was like, dude, you guys get paid to work out, train, and be the best. No better job. Best job I ever had. Why are you guys complaining? You get paid to work out, shoot cool guns, go do on deployments, and look good. That's all you gotta do is work out. And then because he was walking around, he couldn't fit through a door.
Yeah.
He was big on that, and for good reasons, I guess. Because again, manhandling a 50 cal off of a damn Humvee and saving your whole entire platoon is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So he kind of was like, "There's a reason why I want you guys to be this." But he, I was expecting him. He made sure he was okay, but I just remember him. He was upset because he was like, "This white kid, you got to do more pull-ups." Like he didn't sound like that, but that's how we made fun of him, you know,
Right.
making jokes or whatever.
Yeah.
Whenever the Lance Corporal Underground was
Lance Corporal
getting
Undergrounds.
more, you know, gaggling together.
Right.
But yeah, we did fast rope, and he ended up being okay. The LB pack broke most of the fall, but I mean he dropped pretty high.
Yeah.
And then I know we went to Bridgeport, which is mountain warfare, and I don't ever want to go back ever in my life. I've been there, I think maybe two or three times. I can't remember. I know for a fact too. There might have been a third time we went over there, but it's in California. Fly out there, and we're doing summertime, so we have to go the height. So when you land, not only are you can't breathe because of the elevation already.
Yeah.
So you have a whole week to get acclimated to the surrounding elevation and everything else. And then the barracks are the bottom. Right behind the barracks is a trail to go up the mountain. And I remember our first hike was up the steepest mountain. It's like the first mile of it is just nothing but like, it feels like you're climbing a ladder almost.
Yeah.
With all your gear on. And I remember I took one of the machine gunners was falling out. I went and grabbed his A bag, and I put it on my back and started running up because I was good at humping. So this is my time to shine. So I'm sitting there sprinting up a hill and get back in formation. And I remember one of the senior guys like, "Put that thing down. I can't believe you guys let that guy put this boot, whatever, blah, blah." So I put it down, like good to go. And he picked it up. The squad leader, team leader picked it up on his back. I was like, "Let's go." And then get to where we're going for the night. And one of the things were in the next movements, we had to maneuver over a couple of clicks and get to a new site. And I remember one of the lieutenants got lost. He was leading the company. He was in the company, and we're sitting on, we're like, take a break. So we're sitting on this, I mean, it's a beautiful view, you know, sitting there drinking water, cool. And we're like, according to us, like we're about maybe like 10 minutes away from where we need to stop for the night.
Yeah.
And eventually got past, and I was like, all right. So I was like, we're on the wrong mountain. I'm like, what? He's like, you see that mountain out there? Well, we went the wrong way, and we got to go to that mountain. In between us is another mountain. He's like, well, the shortest route, so we don't fail this, whatever we don't fail, we have to go over the second mountain, direct route. I remember I wanted to throw that lieutenant off the damn mountain. I was like,
He was leading the company?
yeah, like his company was on point. Or his platoon was on point for the company.
Oh, okay.
And it's just like, nobody else realized we were going the wrong way. Like, there was no lieutenants, platoon sergeants, squad leaders like, hey, sir. I was like, I heard stories about lieutenants getting lost, trying to help them read a map. And I was so furious. I was like, dude, now we got to hike over 2 additional mountains that we've already hiked over 3.
Yeah.
And it's going to get dark soon. We're going to be doing this at dark. So now I know we're going to get lost again. And it's just became a whole thing, and eventually got there. But it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that. We also had to go through what was that damn place called in Virginia?
Fort something, right? The Army
Fort
base?
Pickett.
Fort Pickett.
Yeah.
Do I have a story for
Old
that?
ass army base. And
Worse
I mean,
than
we
our
did a lot of big maneuvers as a battalion as well through there with tanks and stuff.
Yeah, that was the first time I got to see what tanks, what they look like, how they shoot.
Yeah,
And it's
up
not
close.
It's not like the movies.
Up close.
And they were like,
Yeah.
you guys will have ear pro on top of ear pro.
Yeah.
And I was like, why?
Yeah, it's like how bad can it
It can't
be?
be that bad. And
Yeah.
then when it shakes the entire ground,
Yeah,
and
the
you're
earth.
like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
we need air pro.
yeah.
You need air pro if you're
most
back
definitely.
if you're back in North Carolina. Like, you know what I mean?
Most definitely. But that was an experience. That was part of one of our workups as well. And then we got more in depth with trench warfare.
Yeah.
So you learn about that, and then you get to deal with those stupid plastic
Ivan targets.
diving targets again out there in the middle. You also get to go more in depth with the what are those called? LARs or
LAVs.
Is that what it's called?
The ones that can go into water as well. Is that what you're talking about with the tank turret on top of it?
I can't remember.
They
I
have
don't
like
remember what it was.
They have a small like.
No,
they have a small turret
the rockets that we shot.
from the backpack.
Mm-hmm.
APODs.
It might have been that.
They shoot out to clear IEDs. The clear they shoot.
Yes. Yeah.
The rocket.
Yeah.
Whenever I was in assaultment, we're going away.
Okay.
That MOS was no longer valid after my first deployment,
Okay.
but they were still valid the first one, and they shot the APODs
Yeah.
and came down. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we were part of that. Or my fire team was, because I was at that time I was in third squad, and I was the first fire team in the first fire team, and I was I can't remember if I was a saw gunner or not, but anyways, yeah, we had to go through that, and that was interesting. We're running through, burning. The woods were burned up and everything. I think they just got done burning them, so it kind of felt like we're in a movie almost.
Yeah.
Because everything was smoking coming through the woods, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a very interesting training
So
that we had to do there.
we went to picket, and one of the Marines put a video up of how terrible. Like we're staying in like World War II wooden
yeah,
asbestos, freaking.
yeah, you could smell it.
So we
When you walked in.
we got okay. You guys are in this barracks, and it's like crusty mattresses of like back in the day. And next to the barracks is a dumpster that says asbestos on it with stuff in it. And I was like, "You guys are just not getting rid of this, and we're staying here." Meanwhile, there's other barracks on there that's like brand new. Like, why can't we stay in those? You know,
I didn't even get to see those.
But we did stay. The majority of the time, we did stay in these like newer than World War II. Put it that way. We'll say Vietnam at this point. That's how new they were. They were better, but we stayed at these like old World War II for a couple weeks because that's where we were closer to the range we needed to complete. And he took a video, and it went viral. It was funny as hell, but it went viral. After that, that's when the entire Marine Corps got that. It's not an NJP, but I can't remember the name of it. It's just a small like document that it's like think of it as like a written counseling.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
okay.
The entire Marine Corps after that video got a counseling. Every Marine had to go in and sign it because there was a social media thing. Couldn't post on social media.
I think I saw something about that.
He got he might have got NJP'd for it. I can't remember, but he got in trouble for it. That was funny. It was a great video. Like one of the guys sent it in our group chat, and he was like, "Look what I found." And he sent it to us, and I saved it. And I was like, "Yep, I'll take it." And so we went to our range in Pickett. It was the same one with the tanks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I woke up one morning after doing rehearsals that previous day. I woke up one morning and I think it was either my right side or left leg, all the way up to my knee and a little bit of my thigh, and my whole right arm up to my shoulder was covered. It was like boily skin. Right. It wasn't like I got burned, but that's what I can say I look like. I look like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, Doc, what is this? He was like, I don't know.
Heat rash.
Okay. So, I was like, okay, maybe it'll go away. So he gave me some stuff and I had to keep it wrapped, and it just got worse and worse. Manticlia got it too, and we wanted to do the range. So we went through the day and night fire where the tanks were involved, and the tanks would like, they'd be back here, and they're like the berm was covering their line of fire.
Yeah.
And then I just see them, whoa, come up, boom, and come back down. And I was like,
Yeah.
the hell are they shooting at? How do they even see what they're shooting at? But the technology on a tank is insane.
Yeah.
And then for that night fire, I was one of the Humvee. I was an A driver for a Humvee. I wasn't in the thing,
Okay.
which got canceled anyways because the 50 cal of the whatever was it, 50 cal whatever guns on the tank caught the damn whole range on fire.
Yeah.
So then we had to cease fire and go put all this fire because it's spreading. And then we're like, we're about to burn Fort Pickett down to the ground.
Yeah.
They're like, this range always catches on fire because of the tracers and stuff. So that was cool and like scary at the same time. I was like, dude, I would not want to be on the other end of this tank. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
But I came back. The next day I woke up and me and Mantilli had to be sent back to that World War II barracks and go see the battalion doc, whatever he was, our officer. I was like, is this what asbestos, like, what is this? And they kept telling us, we don't know what it is. And I was like, y'all need to figure this out. Like, I don't want to die here. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And it eventually went away. It was very itchy. It may have been like a combination of poison ivy, heat rash, and some other stuff.
I think, yeah.
But
That's what
it was
sounds
just,
like.
it just kept spreading.
Yeah.
So we had, we got sent back and they finished out the exercise. And Fort Pickett was pretty cool. I was our 203 gunner for my fire team. And I was really good at aiming that thing.
Yeah.
So there was like a competition on one of like the stations where we had to shoot the Cheeto rounds, and if you got it through the window, it's like a one-dimensional little thing with like fake windows, and it was like a building from one side. Shooting Cheeto rounds are like, and there's different like little bunkers before it, and each one, if you hit it, it was a point, and if it went through the window, you got the most points. So I was lobbing them through the window. As soon as I knew where my sight, like I'd shoot my first one, and I used my Kentucky windage. I was like, okay, I'm a little short. 1 or 2 clicks up, and we had at the time the iron sights for the 203.
Yeah.
Later on the 6-round grenade launcher, we had the red dot for it.
Okay.
But yeah, did that, and I was, I took pride in being the best 203 gunner. I couldn't say I wasn't because I beat everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like I was like just cocky. I proved it. Like I'm better than them. If you want to try me again, let's line up.
Right.
Let's do it again. I'll beat you every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. The next one we had to do was the helo dunker. Did you guys have to do that?
Yep. We had to do the helo dunker. That one was fun too.
No, it wasn't.
Huh?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't fun for you?
No.
It was fun for me.
You like water going up your nose?
I didn't get no water up my nose.
Shoot. They turned us upside down on that helo, that mock helo. So for us, it was a portion of the pool. You had to put your calves on the pool deck and float your body up. And you had to manually go upside down, put your back to the inside the pool. So now you're upside down with your calves hanging on top of the thing. And you had to do it because the water rushes up your nose at that point, and that's what's going to happen in the helo because you're going to get turned upside down. That's how the dynamics of the helo, when it gets in water, it flips upside down.
Yeah.
So we had to do that for a while and then figure out how to get our vest off and all that. And then once we got it, there was like this little cinder block, this little circular thing that's like looks like where you would sit in a helo. And then they told you how the windows came out. If you're next to this window, you have to push it at the bottom right corner, straighten your arm and push with your body and it'll open. Anywhere else you push, it won't open. The other one's like a lever. The other one's like whatever. And every time I rode in a helo for whatever training operation we were doing, the back was never closed. So I was like, why can't we just swim out the back? Why am I dealing with this window? I just swim out the back. It's wide open. I've never seen the helo where it's closed. Ospreys, whatever. So we ended up doing that, and they block your goggles out. They spray paint the inside of the goggles outside so you can't see because that's what's going to be pitch black in the middle of the ocean or whenever you go down. Got your breathing apparatus, so when it goes, it flips. You have to put your breathing apparatus in. Once I put my breathing apparatus in, I was okay.
Okay.
But it was the initial. I remember the first one dude panicked. He couldn't get it was stuck on the seat belt or something.
Okay.
And he couldn't get it. So he's panicking, and he takes off his gun, and his elbow and the gun hits me in the back, in my face, and like the back of my head.
Damn.
So I get hit, and I'm trying to put him in now I'm like, what is this guy? I can't see. I'm like, what is going on? The instructors are in there, they can see.
Yeah.
And they escorted him out the back. I was like, that sounds like a great idea to me.
Yeah.
Why don't we just do that?
Yeah.
But he had to go do it again. But
how many did y'all have in there?
I don't remember the numbers, but they were right next to us. It had to be at least 5 or 4.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was 3 that we had.
But it was just like, once I got my breathing apparatus in, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you just kind of, what I did was when I felt like it was going to happen, held my breath, and then blew out my nose a little bit. I didn't let it all out.
That does help a little bit. Yeah.
I just blew it a little bit out until I knew, because I kind of timed it. Now, the first time when it happened, I got water in my nose and stuff. But after that, I kind of timed it and just stayed calm, and remember. That kind of helped me remember the process and the steps. And then when I had the breathing apparatus, then it was easy. Because by then, I didn't let all my air out. I let some out. then I could breathe in what I needed to.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like, I mean, when you're in water, you can't, if you flip upside down, you really can't tell which way's up.
No,
Like if they were to blindfold you and like spin you around in the water and then like which way's up, you wouldn't be able to tell.
No, you wouldn't. No.
So everything is backwards. When you get out of the halo, you want to go what would normally be where your head is because you're normally that's up, but you have to like swim underneath and go up that way, the opposite. So that was just something that I mean, it was cool after like we had to do it a couple times. After the first time, it was pretty. As soon as you realized what you were doing.
The second tour is when I had to do the Humvee.
We never had to do that.
Rollovers.
Yeah.
We had different things within your deployments.
Yeah, so I mean, that was my biggest workup for that was just Bridgeport. We had to do a lot over there. We had to do like survival. We had like where you had to be 3 days. I remember it was like a fire team of 3. And one person gets a bivy sack, one person gets a tarp, and one person gets like nothing but warming layers. Mm-hmm. And you have to make a shelter and all this other stuff. Well, one of the guys didn't. I guess it got super cold, like in the mountains. So it got super hot during the day, in the mountains at night.
Yeah,
it got super cold.
Yeah.
So it kind of mimicked what I guess would be like overseas. Mm-hmm. And that was the purpose of it. So now you got to survive with food. You get like 1 MRE for the 3 days between the 3 of you. You got to try to hunt for food. They show you how to make traps, how to attract birds and catch them. And if you catch one, you can cook them. I don't remember if anybody caught anything.
Yeah.
But we like just had your chance to do whatever you want to do for those. You just had to survive.
Yeah. And
I remember one night I was freezing. I ended up somehow, when we built our shelter, it was on a slight incline. Probably dumb now thinking about it. Could have just, did a little better. But I woke up and half my body was outside the shelter. And I was like, what the? I was so cold. So I went up to it was my team leader we got from a different unit that came over prior to this workup. And he was my team leader. His name was Lance Corporal Taylor. It's the guy that's on my bracelet and stuff that,
Yeah.
But I remember I snuggled him. And he was like, did you snuggle me last night? I was like, yes, Lance Corporal. He was like, why? I was like, I was cold. He was like, it's okay. That felt pretty warm. I was cold too, because he had the bivy sack, so he was warm. And we were trying to make it work. And I think I had warmer layers. I was like, I'm a bigger dude. I can. The way we built our shelter, they taught us how to entrap heat in my body. But if I wake up, because I'd done shimmied out of the shelter somehow, it didn't work. So I was super cold, and I remember it was just like sleepless nights. And one of the guys was like, I'll just take the tarp, and I'm gonna sleep outside. And he was like, no. He was like, yeah, I'll do it. Saw that sign, woke up just fine. I was like, and he was a skinny little dude. I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
And it worked out for him. But we did that, and we cooked some lizards.
Yeah.
If you cook lizards, it tasted like burnt popcorn.
No.
Maybe we just overcooked it. But that's just what we ate. That's what we had. One dude ended up catching a small fish in like one of the little like creeks.
Yeah.
He didn't share it. It wasn't really shareable, but we caught like we made like little spears for like lizards and stuff like that. Went hunting for lizards, and then obviously there was nothing out. Like wildlife was pretty scarce.
Yeah.
There was like trails of rabbits, stuff like that, but we never found any.
Yeah.
Also had to do how to make fires.
Yeah.
That's where we learned how to put our blouses in between 2 sticks and make a makeshift litter.
Mm-hmm.
If the time came, a lot of hiking. A lot of night warfare. So apparently, it was force on force, but blanks.
Yeah,
platoons versus platoons, and apparently somehow one of our patrols ended up capturing one of the other lieutenants.
Oh,
so I guess they're perimeter guys on fire watch. One of the guys I guess fell asleep, and so they went past him. They just went into lieutenant's. They're like, hey, they woke up. Someone was like, hey, where's lieutenant's thing? And the guy's like half asleep, over there. So he finds it and he's like, okay, I appreciate it, man. Walks in there. Lieutenant, hey, one of the what's his name? Whoever needs you. However they woke him up, told him something important. Was like, hey, just so-and-so needs you. The company first sergeant or company commander needs you. Come, you got to come with me. They just informed me on the radio. So he gets up. He follows him outside the line. He's like, put your hands behind your back, Lieutenant. This is when he probably realized this is not my platoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they capture him and bring him back to ours. I was like, what's going on? The other platoon is like, put put him back. I'm sure that platoon had a rude awakening, in the morning because they let their firewatch guys fell asleep.
Yeah.
But that was pretty funny. We also got to train with SEALs
During that time?
Yeah, they were our OP4.
Okay.
And so I remember I was down for something. I came down earlier to the barracks, like a day or two earlier before the rest of the platoon with a couple other guys. We had to do something. I can't remember. Some kind of detail or duty. So we got trucked back to the barracks 2 days prior. Worked out for me because I didn't have to hike back with the rest of the company.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, tight. Works out for me. And then that's when the SEALs arrived. Now they were like in our little berthing or barracks, but our barracks opens up and then there's a small hallway, another barracks, whatever. But they were in that barracks. I remember I was like, who the hell are these guys in civilian clothing and beards?
Mm-hmm.
And that's our OP4. It's the Navy SEALs. I was like, whoa, really? SEALs? And then it's like, then I go to look at him and it's like, well, that dude's kind of overweight. Dude's kind of just chill.
Yeah.
And it's just
regular dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't know about it, when going in, you're like SEALs, you think chiseled Spartans, going through, and it's like nothing but just raw, proper. And it's just like, dude, you're just chilling.
Yeah.
And they were talking to us. They're like, we don't mind helping you guys out. We'll be your OP4, but you guys are probably gonna win because how we would do this originally, we would have helos on standby. We'd be rappelling in and out. They were telling us how stupid it is for them to be doing this because it's not how they would actually do it.
Right.
They were like, so you guys are probably gonna beat us because whatever.
Yeah.
We ended up defeating them or whatever, but they were like, we're just here to help y'all out. We were told to be here, and we don't mind, But he was explaining how we'd be
you wouldn't even know there.
He was like, dude, we'd be halo diving in or rappelling in, fast roping in, and then maneuvering, and then call for fire, all this other stuff. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What is call for fire?
You wouldn't know
ask that question.
You wouldn't know they were there.
Yeah.
If you actually had to go against them,
it was a humane moment of humble, wow, these guys are just regular dudes. Dude's, he might be slightly I say overweight. For Marine Corps standards, he'd be overweight, which is not overweight, but it's just you wouldn't expect that.
Right.
They're supposed to be in my head, they were the best of the best. Is all you ever hear about is SEALs on TV and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. Good training experience and good meeting them. And then, did a couple of ranges on big maneuvers on Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
Graded maneuvers.
Yeah, we went more in depth with mount stuff as well.
A couple of our guys went to what is it called? It's mountain warfare something, but they learned how to tie ropes, tie knots. We had to practice all that. They got sent to California a month or two prior to us.
Yeah.
And that's all they did. So they was already doing half the stuff we were doing,
if
not more. Remember we did some rappelling off the side of a mountain. That was cool. Kind of scary because it's not like your rappel tower where it's flat ground. It's rocks and you're sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah, my squad leader at this time now, he's a corporal. And I hated that transition where you're so used to calling them by the original rank.
Oh,
and then when they get promoted and then they look at you like, you just fucked up. You know?
Because you just...
Because I'm so used to calling him Lance Corporal.
Tight.
Yeah.
Demotion, huh?
Right,
Tight.
yeah. And then they pick up Corporal. But anyways, he went, at that time, he went to that course. I forgot what it's called too, because I went to it on my second deployment. Before my second deployment, I had to go through it. But which was, we'll get to that later. It was interesting and it was fun too. But yeah, during this time, we did a little more mount stuff and room clearing. We practiced with those, and then throwing grenades before entering. So that was my first one. The squad leader picked me. By then, I think I became the A gunner or something like that, because they originally gave me the saw because I was the shortest, stout little guy who could carry the saw. So I remember us coming up in this situation, and he tapped me on the shoulder. Before we went in, he explained everything and how we're going to do it. So he tapped me on the shoulder, So, I pulled the grenade, showed it to him, pulled the pin, showed it to him. And then I went to step out and throw into the doorway, and it hit the door frame. And it just, and everything was slow motion. It was a blue body. Blue body. Blue body.
Grenade? I was
No, it was
good
blue
Lord.
body. And everything was slow motion. And I saw it hit, and it just rolled right by my squad leader's feet and then between my feet. I mean, between the person in front, the point man's feet, and then to my feet. And like within that, it felt like 30 minutes, but it happened so quick, and it was only a few seconds. And he was like, "Go, Yee!" He kicked me in the back, and we're going in, and then it went off.
Yeah.
And so then I got cussed out.
Yeah.
Because I
How you miss the whole door standing in front of you?
yeah, I wasn't expecting that to happen,
Yeah.
And then he chewed my ass out for that, and he's like, "Don't fucking freeze. You got to move. It doesn't either you go in or you move back." Which I don't know why he didn't move back and just pulled me back.
Probably teach you a lesson.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, you go more in depth with that with your crew, your team, and then after that you get deployed. Through that whole 7 months of training and stuff.
Yeah.
I did the same thing with that. In California, we did that as well. But I think we were in AAVs at the time.
When I went to 29, this is my second workup for my second deployment.
Yeah, so it's vice versa.
Yeah, we did the 29 Palms range and all that.
So we did the helos and then the AAVs.
Yeah, we did. We were mainly in AAVs, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And those things.
Yeah, they suck. Yeah.
Suck.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were in elevate or during that. We'll get into that too later on. I remember. So once you kind of get into the fleet, do a couple of field operations and et cetera. My biggest pet peeve for like field operations were if we got a 0730 07 step off time for motor T to get there, we're up at 4 o'clock in the morning to draw rifles, to stand by and sleep in the quad because we're waiting on motor T.
Yep. Hurry up and wait.
Yeah, it's because like the company commander, battalion commander is like, all right guys, we're stepping off at 07, and the company commander is like, all right guys, 0630.
Yeah.
And the platoon sergeant, company gunning, or company sergeant, first sergeant's like, all right guys, 06.
Yeah.
Then it just keeps on going 30 minutes after that. And then by the time it gets to your team leader, you're waking up at 2:30 in the morning to be stepping off at 7:30, and it's just stupid. Like I get it because someone's always late.
I think they did it on purpose.
But I mean, I'm sure because like one day there's probably where it's like, well, you guys are grown men. We trust you guys to go to war and carry guns and do all X, Y, and Z. You guys can be on time. You had to do it in boot camp. You had to do it X, Y. Why wouldn't you be on time now? And then you have those guys just never show up or show up late.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we'll fix that. Because then the team leaders, squad leaders got chewed out. Shit rolls downhill.
Yeah.
So like we won't have this problem anymore. And they were like, cool.
Well, Motor T, I mean, think about it. Motor T, they had a normal job, so they probably didn't have to get up till like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock.
They were always late anyways.
Yeah, so that's probably why we were always waiting.
It was always late.
Then you were like, "Can we go get chow?" No.
Yeah.
I'm like,
why?
Yeah, we did this like 2 weeks ago where we had to sit here for 3 hours and wait. We got plenty of time. No, the trucks should be here. And
Chow hall opens at 6 a.m. We don't step off till 9.
Yeah.
We have plenty of time. I can walk to the chow hall right here.
Yeah.
We had the chicken shack by ours. That was the closest chow hall.
Chicken Shack. That's what
Yeah.
it's called?
Yep.
Oh.
That's the chow hall. It's famous for they have like a little drive-through, but it's famous for their chicken sandwiches. They're spicy. It's called the gas chamber chicken sandwich.
Damn,
It's
y'all
a
had a
spicy-
drive-through too?
Yeah.
I don't remember ours. But
it's not a big chow hall. It's like the small little chow hall.
Oh, okay.
Right
Now,
now.
ours was kind of big. But
There was a
love
bigger one that did like baked chicken,
Yeah.
roasted chicken, and then like they had like all your other stuff.
Yeah. I
was
love
good
the
food.
breakfast. That was my biggest
I
thing.
never got to eat breakfast.
Well, I'm talking about when we were able to. Because sometimes, just your normal admin week and stuff, you get up, do PT, and then, all right, go to chow, be back at this time. We got
Yeah.
class at this time or whatever. So I would go after PT, I'll go shower and then go to the chow hall, and I would just get everything. Lunch was all right. Dinner, I didn't really go eat there at dinner, but
Yeah.
I mainly went there for breakfast if I had time to do it.
Yeah. Did you ever eat at that little burrito spot by the main PX?
No.
No. So I guess when I had more time, maybe it was a relaxed week or something like that, or a relaxed day, like go get chow. You have an hour and 30 minutes for chow. We would go there.
Yeah.
The biggest burritos, dude. So delicious. So good. We go through the drive-thru over there, grab them and eat them, and it was just.
Didn't it have a food court inside too?
Which one?
The PX. Was it home base?
I don't think so. Not ours.
No? Maybe I'm thinking of something else then.
Might have been a different PX.
They might have been.
The main one when you first come into the gate, it's like the first main road to your right where the gym is and all that, the newer gym. Maybe it's different for you because it's 9 years apart.
Yeah. First thing I remember going through the gate was a subdivision in an elementary school or something on the right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Because the PX was over there by the roundabout, right? Or no, the roundabout was further down.
Roundabout's further. That's where like the big ceremony field and the soccer field and all that football field is. Yeah. That's where the road for our chow hall was on. If you took that right down that roundabout and take the first exit, if you're coming from the gate, it was on your left, closer going to 1-6's area.
Okay.
But yeah, that's where our main chow hall was. But we always went to the chicken shack because it was right down the road.
Okay.
Like within running distance, but like a 2-minute drive.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, waking up at 02 to go, 03 weapon draw to go and hit the field at 08:30. Stupid.
Yeah.
But I remember we were doing some kind of. This is the one time I remember I fell asleep by just walking. I do remember that. We were doing some night operation. We've been going all day. Somehow it was force on force, and we got compromised. And then we go and move in, and I'm holding security on this road, and they're like, all right, hang tight. So now I'm back to back with this guy because we have our packs on. I'm back to back. And I remember and then I woke up, and somehow I was walking.
Where? Walking to where?
We were in formation walking.
Okay.
Doing echelon right or echelon, column, formation, dispersion, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like, I wasn't I just sitting down? What's going on? And then I think it was in the same field op. We're waiting on this platoon to come by, and we were sitting up in an ambush. And all you hear was, pop. Someone indeed. And it was somewhere near me. And I remember I was like half asleep too. And I was sleep deprived. It was already, been going all day. And I remember I heard it, and I was like, the cue was lieutenant was going to fire first, and that was the cue for everyone else to fire. You know what I'm saying? So if you saw him, you don't fire till you hear the first gunshot.
Right.
It was lieutenant's gunshot. Well, I heard it. I was like, oh, shit. And I looked up, and there was no one on the road. I was like, where are we shooting at? And no one else did anything. So I was like, did I fire my weapon? So I checked my injection port cover. Because, if you shot it, it would open.
Right, yeah.
And I looked, it was closed. I was like, it wasn't me. And all you hear is, who was that? Who's shooting? And then it was like, it's coming from over here. And then now it's between me and a guy named Young, one of my roommates.
Yeah.
And I was like, Young, did you fire? He's like, dude, I swear to God I didn't. And till this day, when I went to go see him, I'm not going to say where he lives. Well, I went to go see him you know where he lives now. You ain't going to find him in that spot anyways. It's huge. But I went to go see him. He was like, dude, I'm still pissed off about that. They blame me for that day. And I was like, dude, you can tell me now. We're already out.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years since we've seen each other. Tammy's like, dude, I swear to God, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm about to get pissed off at you if you say I did it. I was like, someone did it. And we never figured out who did it. And it was just, he got pissed. And then that's the same op. Young, we were traveling, we were doing maneuvers. The platoon was maneuvering through the swamps of North Carolina. And for some reason, we decided we need to go this way. And it's like 2 football fields, nothing but just Narnia.
Yeah.
Just as tall, like higher bushes than me, vines, whatever. We get through it. And then Young's like, yo, my MVGs are gone.
No. Damn.
I was like, he didn't say anything. So we finally get to where we're going. He's like, whatever. His team leader's like, my MVGs are gone. What the? Now we got to backtrack. So now I'm back there with him. I was like, dude, I don't remember because we took our nods off during this Narnia because you couldn't see anyways. You can see more with the nods off than you could on because it was nothing but just plants in front of you.
Yeah.
So We eventually ended up finding him, and then when we found him, they made him low crawl all the way back to where we were.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah. And it's nothing but mud. And he was just kind of like, this is stupid, but I did mess up.
Yeah.
But he was like, I'm not the dumbass that put us through Narnia.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not the dummy that, put us through all this crap to where our nods were. Come on. Like, what do you expect? We're going through vines and thorns and all this other stuff that can catch on stuff. So
Yeah.
that's just some of the stuff that we did in some of the field ops that we did.
One of the things I messed up on was same situation. I was tired. I had fire watch, and I had to go wake up the next person, and I hated. I think there could have been a better system, but we didn't have one. We never did. You just had to remember who was next. But anyways, because when you're sleeping in your foxhole or if they issue tents, you got to go through these damn tents and remember who's sleeping where, and you're waking up the wrong person. But anyways, I was exhausted, and I went to go wake up the next person in fire watch, and I left my rifle leaning up against the tree where I was, standing at. And I went to go wake that next person up, and I went to my tent. And
your rifle.
Yeah, I forgot my rifle, and you're supposed to sleep with your rifle and all that inside your sleeping bag. But at the time, I was so tired that I didn't even think about the rifle.
Disgusting little boot. That's what
and I woke up, and then I can hear them. They say, "Everybody get online, get in formation, blah blah blah." So I'm hurrying up, getting my shit on, and I look around. I'm like, "Where's my fucking rifle?" And I look in the sleeping bag. I'm like, dude, where's my rifle? And I don't know who was inside the tent with me. And I was like, you see my rifle? He's like, no, dude.
Dude, that is the worst feeling.
It is.
Losing something very important. Lose a canteen cup, lose a canteen. You can go buy one outside.
Yeah.
No problem. Losing an NVG or a rifle, if we don't find that thing, the whole entire base is going on lockdown.
Yeah.
And and everyone that's in your leadership chain of command is getting screwed. That means you're getting screwed. Like it's bad. So like that feeling, like your heart just sinks, like your soul leaves your body. You're like, you look up and you're like, Lord, please let me find whatever I lost. Please, let me find it. And sure enough, someone probably what happened? I guess someone picked it up.
Yeah, my platoon sergeant picked it up. So we got in formation, and
Did you tell anybody that you lost your rifle prior to that?
I told my team leader when we got in formation, because he's like, "Yee, where's your rifle?" I said, Lance Corporal, I don't know what I did with it. I don't remember. He's like, how the fuck do you not remember what you did with your rifle? I said, I was on fire watch. I went to wake up the other guy, and I thought I took it in the tent with me. So while we're sitting there, he's like, the platoon sergeant's like, all right, this is the plan for today. And he was explaining what we're about to go do. And then he stopped, and he leaned over like this, because, we're standing there at parade rest, and I see him do this, and he looks down, and he looks up at me. He's like, Yee, where's your rifle? I said, shit. Sergeant, I was like, I don't know, Sergeant. I can't find it. He said, come see me after this. I said, roger that, Sergeant. And then they had hot chow that morning, and he dismissed us. He's like, everybody go get hot chow. And he said, Yee, come here. And he gave me a piece of paper or a map. It had coordinates on it.
Wow.
And he said, get your compass out. And he's like, you see these coordinates? He's like, I want you to find them, follow them. He's like, that's where your rifle is. And they had like 12 or 15 different points. From then on, I never lost my damn rifle. Well, I had to go dig them up. It was like 2.5 feet, 3 feet deep. So he took his time to take it all apart, dig it.
Oh, he put the parts.
Took it all apart. And
what if he forgot where he buried one of them? That's even bigger. Then losing your rifle ain't so bad because someone found it and took it apart, and now he's in trouble. But luckily, you found that thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember having to dummy cord all your stuff to your belt loops and stuff?
Yeah, I had to dummy cord certain things. Yeah, MVGs, stuff like that.
Well, so his MVGs were dummy corded. Young's was.
Yeah.
Onto his Kevlar.
Yeah.
but because we were going through Narnia, it got cut,
Okay.
and that's why he lost them.
Damn, they got cut.
Dude, when I tell you,
550 cord.
or maybe he didn't tie it enough.
I don't. He probably didn't die because a 550 cord.
Young was a yeah.
I mean-
he was a boot, just like he fucked up just like the rest of us. But
Yeah.
it was he got screwed up.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I had, and probably the most embarrassing thing, another lesson learned. We had admin week, and my squad leader, of course, decided to have a class on something. You know, he's pretty motivated and wanted us to learn a lot. And I showed up to class without a pen. So
A
yeah,
pen.
yeah,
okay.
a pen. So I asked him, and he looked at me like I asked him for $1 million.
Yeah.
It's like, a pen? What the fuck you asking me for a pen for?
Yeah.
You know? So he's like, all right. So after that, you know, after the class, he's like, "Yee, come here." He said, I got you these, I got you a box of pen. I said, "Thank you, Lance Corporal." He's like, "I want you to go dummy cord all this to your belt loop." So I had like 12, 15 pens
on you.
on my belt loop.
Yeah.
And then I think we had lunch. He said, "We're going to go to lunch." He's like, "You're not going to lunch." He said, "I want you to write 1,000 times that I'll always bring a pen to class
Yeah.
in all caps." So I started it off, you know, then I got smart. I taped like 4 or 5 pens together, you know, and did
Yeah.
in all caps. So until this day, I write in all caps. I can't write in lowercase.
Yeah, I write in all caps after boot camp
Yeah.
because my handwriting's trash. But
Yeah.
if it's all capital letters, you can't mix up.
Yeah,
the
mine
words
was
up.
trash too. in the beginning.
But yeah, one of the things that one of the squad leaders did was if they did something to where I would have got someone killed, he made them write a letter to the people that got killed. He made them write a letter to their family.
Wow.
And he would read it.
Yeah.
So I thought that's good, right? Like it kind of brings it home to why you shouldn't do certain things. Because if you fall asleep on fire watching a training exercise, it's just training, right? But they're trying to make you understand that this is what you're gonna be doing. You're gonna be sleep deprived. You're gonna be doing this like if you're ever out, you know, on deployments and stuff like that. And it was just, you know, I like it. I like that because to me, I'm very, you know, I'm more emotional than most, so that's gonna hit me harder. And I won't screw that up ever again if I ever had to do it. Luckily, I never had to do it, but I thought it was pretty good. Some people just like whatever.
Yeah.
But even after they had to write the letter home. Another thing they made us do before or after PT, we had to pick someone that was awarded some kind of prestigious award, figure out what they did, and then brief the platoon on it. So today we're talking about, and that's when we figured out, that's the kind of how we figured out what our platoon commander, what he did. Because one of the guys was like, they're like, Corporal so-and-so. And that's when they were like, he did the X, Y, and Z. When they said his name, we were like, Lieutenant?
Yeah.
And he was like, he just kind of like, yep, that was me.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. But yeah, that's mostly the workups and all the stuff you'll do, different ranges and et cetera. Then there's also good times, weekends, get libo, going out with your buddies. I'm sure you remember, it's not nickel draft night. You ever went to one of those?
Yeah.
What bar is that? I can't remember.
I thought it was Hooters.
No, it was a bar. That one we had was a bar. But anyway, so I remember going out. Nickel draft night was on a Wednesday for us. So
I don't remember.
we decided to go out on a Wednesday. Like, who wants to go to nickel? I was like, whatever, I'll go. Let's go.
Because it wasn't that far.
No, it was Ralph Base.
Yeah.
It's some club, or I say club. It's like a bar. It's like a bar dance with a dance floor, stuff like that.
Tar Heels?
That sounds familiar. Yeah, it might be it. I can't
I
remember.
think it's Tar Heels then.
Yeah.
Was it like a country club?
Yeah, it's a country club.
Tar Heels.
Yeah. And
think it was Tar Heels.
nickel draft night, and it was. I regret going because now I remember it was nickel draft night, and it was only PBRs, and I don't like
Ugh.
PBRs. Yeah, disgusting. Ugh. If you drink PBRs, you're psycho. But you know, get drunk for $1.
Yeah.
So that's what we drank, and I guess at the time it didn't really matter. After the first couple beers, it was like just keep drinking.
Yeah.
And we stayed out till like 2:00 in the morning, got back drunk, had formation at 6 to PT, or do something. No, we were posted PT, and the first sergeant came out. The company first sergeant came out, and he was like, "All right, where's all my lance corporals at?" And it took us forever. It was me and my roommate. I didn't like my roommate. we got into multiple fights.
You had one roommate.
At this time we did because our fire team was short.
Okay.
And we're kind of already pretty deep into our workup.
Okay.
We ended up getting a third, but it was just us, me and him, and
that was probably nice.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah.
He probably not because you didn't like him, but
whatever. But I went out with him.
Yeah,
and we were, trying to bond or whatever. Where our personality just didn't mix. Like that's why. And I remember we got back and we trying to get a formation. I threw up in the shower. Go down to formation, and like I'm next to my Popson was my team leader at that time, and I was like sitting there in formation swaying, and the other guy is also our team leader, so he's also swaying. He's like, "You guys are fucking retarded.
Yeah,
why did y'all do this? Blah blah." Blah. The first sergeant comes out. All right, where my lance corporals at? Yeah. All right. If the lance corporals were having a lance corporal breakfast, we'll see you guys at the chow hall. I want all lance corporals to go have breakfast with me. And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I'm still intoxicated. So I was like, I was like, "Yo, you gotta drive us over there." One of the guys who drive, I'm like, thinking about how I was like, in my head, I was like, "Dude, do you think you're really gonna notice if I'm not there?" And they were like, "Probably not." I was like, "I'm going to sleep in the car." So I fell asleep in the car while they had breakfast, and I came back out, and we started our day that way. But that was pretty sketchy. I was like, the day that I decided to go out on a Wednesday, on not a weekend, and it's like that. But
so you was a lance corporal at this time.
yeah, I picked. Yeah. I mean, I graduated PFC. I picked up lance pretty quick in the fleet. I had already, that's a kind of a gimme. It's kind of like, what is it, first lieutenant, second lieutenant? Whenever they get promoted, it's a gimme. But yeah, it was just, that was just one of those Marine things. And I remember some guys used to run or go on hikes whenever we had our, company hikes we had to do on base. Yeah. They'd have, instead of water, they'd have a Camelback full of like beer or like Jack and Coke. And then I remember one of the squad leaders, he always had, you can tell, it was a hint of Jack Daniel's honey and his coffee. Mm. Yeah, so he was always, that's what it was.
He's feeling good.
Yeah, he was feeling good. He didn't have it throughout the whole day. It was like one cup, but he had he was a coffee fanatic. That dude had so much, if you had a Jet Bull and you were a boot, you were cooking his coffee. You were brewing the coffee. And it wasn't like the MRE coffee. Like he brought those Forgers coffee to the field and was like, cook it. Make it. Instant coffee, whatever. And it's what you were doing. It's what, good to go, Sergeant. Yeah. I'll get it done. Yeah. Other times, man, going out, I remember going out with my boy Rosa. Rosa was both deployments, we became roommates. When we became seniors, we roomed together. The Dominican dude, really cool. I don't even know how we clicked, but we did. But we were always the ones that were like, this is stupid. Like, why are we, like, it made sense to us why this was so stupid. Yeah. And we were the ones that were like, always, wow, like dumb. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thought all on the same lines. And he became my best friend. And I remember we went out to one of the other clubs. It's kind of further out into the Jacksonville, but went to one of the clubs and one of our guys picked us up. He was Uber driving at the time, or whatever Uber was at the time. He was making money that way on the weekends. I remember probably one of the only times I blacked out. He gave the last thing I remember was drinking a vodka Red Bull, and I woke up next to the trash can with puke on me inside the club, and I was getting kicked out by security. and then like Rosa came out and he was like, "Where were you?" I was like, "I don't know what happened to you. They told me I had to go." And I'm sitting there on the curb waiting for him. It's like, he'll find me, and he's plastered too. And then we get an Uber and then we realize like, "Yo, you're at our company. What are you doing?" He's like, "Get in the car." I was like, "You're our Uber?" He's like, "Yes." And then he was like, "Don't throw up in my car." I don't remember the drive back, but apparently Rosa was about to throw up and he stuck his head out the window and threw up all over the side of his car. Damn. He was like, "I'll take it. I can wash that off as long as it's not inside." Yeah. And then we got back and me and Rosa decided, apparently we pissed each other off and we were trying to fight each other. Only problem was we were fighting the ground. We were like, oh, you dumb, I hate you. And then you hit the ground and it's like, yeah, take that. And apparently like, apparently our seniors came out and was like, the fuck are you two doing? Get inside. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. We're sitting there yelling, get inside. And then we were hungover, dude. It was a Saturday. Now it's Sunday morning. We're like, oh, I just want to go back to sleep. Multiple things. First time in the fleet, like, I remember I was supposed to go to this party out in town, right? So one of the guys was like, yo, I know this, they were having a party. So meet us there. Okay, cool. Some apartment complex. I get there, knock on the door, I think I was talking to some girl or something. I don't know. That's why I was, motivated to go.
Yeah.
Being a little nasty thing.
Yeah.
And then I knock on the door. The guy that answers is the guy that I told that got mad at me for screaming that Alpha sucks. When he picked me up.
Oh, wow.
It was his apartment.
Dang.
Along with the other guy that was with him and another corporal. They didn't get BAH, but they decided, we can pull our money and just live out town.
Yeah.
In an apartment. And they opened the door like, what the fuck you doing here? Like, I was coming to see X, Y, and Z. And then apparently she was messing with one of the corporals from Alpha.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, this girl. I was like, yeah. I was told there's a party. Come over here to party. Now this time I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Like I'm a boot. And I'm like, and they already got pissed. And so they kind of switched off the team leader, squad leader, corporal role, and they were like,
right,
all right, tell me everything.
Yeah.
Next, one of the other roommate was this yoked black dude. He was so huge, dude. Like, had to be taking steroids.
Yeah.
And so one of the guys, the guy that I guess was messing with the girl that was messing with him, he was upset and he wanted to fight me. He was like, don't worry, nothing's going to happen. He turned around and was like, look, any of you guys touch him, I'm fucking you up. It's not his fault, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, thank you. They let me stay and drink with him. And I was like, okay, cool.
That's cool.
And I was like, no, it was not cool. Because I was trying to leave. And they're like, no, you're here, you're going to drink.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so I guess we're back at I'll obey your commands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they were like, we're taking your keys from you. You're not driving too.
Were you by yourself?
Yes.
Oh,
the other guy was supposed to show up there. He never showed up.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, you're going to sleep on the couch. If anybody messes with you, just let me know. So, okay. Remember, I woke up and I was like trying to look for my keys. I want to get out of there. So I ended up finding my keys and I took off. And then I saw that same corporal and those guys. I think he was a sergeant now.
Mm.
He was like, don't you ever fucking come back to my apartment ever again. I said, good to go, corporal. Scared boot. I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah, we didn't really go out much. Well, at least me and the crew, little clique that I was with, we didn't really go out in town like that or any parties and house parties and stuff. But we did have barracks parties. Again, my team lead was pretty cool and laid back. And he bought us alcohol, which, at that time I wasn't really big into drinking, so we had our first party and we fucked up pretty bad and drinking, what was it? Smirnoff. It was like watermelon or something.
Yeah.
It was horrible. And of course it was cheap, and he got it at the PX.
We drank Rolling Rock.
No,
that was cheap.
Oh, God.
They would buy it. One of the guys that was old enough to buy it, he'd buy it for us.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining. It's cheap.
Yeah, it's very cheap. So. But and then we fucked up and partied, and the next morning we had to go on a hump, so we had gear inspection and all that, and I was messed up. The whole time I was bringing gear down, I was throwing up, dry heaving and stuff like that. And my platoon sergeant just looking at me. He's like, dumbass. And I'm just going up and down because we're on the third deck.
Yeah.
So, that was probably one of the worst experiences I've had with, vodka. So that's why to this day I cannot drink vodka. It was horrible.
Which was crazy because you were best friends with him in high school. His older brother, the Russian dudes that you were friends with, Dmitry.
Yeah,
I was friends with his younger brother, Vitaly.
Okay.
And every time we'd go to like, Mom, I hope you're not listening to this. It's too late. You can't do anything about it now. But go hang out at a friend's house, and Everyone else would be doing like I wasn't big into smoking weed.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for it.
Yeah.
I just never understood it.
Yeah.
So he would always bring taka because it was cheap.
Oh God.
And he was, he's Russian, so it's vodka. And he would like, who wants to drink? No one. I was like, I'll drink, screw it. And so that's why I can't drink vodka till this day. Like it's just vodka's nasty.
Man.
Yeah, taka, dude. Like it's
That's
basically
the worst vodka.
rubbing alcohol. But yeah. I got into the Marine Corps to drink vodka Red Bulls because that's what I was drinking. That's what I've drank before in high school. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
But after that night, me and Rosa started beating the ground up, thinking it was each other. I stopped drinking that and Fireball. That was the day I quit Fireball too. So we mixed Fireball and some other stuff together.
Yeah.
I remember it was our battalion's anniversary, and we had a mess night. So we had a mess night, where they get up and we were in dress blues, and they were like, that's when they get up and like they make, there's a grog and it's fun. It is fun. Like it's not fun when you're a boot, but I was a boot, but it is fun. That's when they get up and like a staff sergeant got up and one of the guys, he was chunky, but he always worked out and drank and tried to eat protein and all that, but he didn't cut first, so he just looked fat. He was like, whatever, so and so, I will show you the way, because one of the field operations that he packed whey protein in his pack. And he found the platoon. He was a platoon sergeant. He found it and he was like, "What the fuck?" and threw it everywhere. He's like, and then that's when that's when one of the guys or everyone says, "Say it ain't so," and he's like, "Oh, but it is so. I recommend to the mess that he drinks blah blah from the grog," and that's when you got to go drink the grog, right? Well, everyone gets messed up. The order was from the battalion commander. Even if you're married, you cannot leave the barracks. You are after the mess night. You guys can go party from the barracks, but you cannot leave the barracks. Mm-hmm. So there was rooms that were vacant that were set up for the married Marines and all that. What do you do when you have a whole battalion of Marines that are messed up on booze? What do we? We're aggressive.
Yeah,
we're better than you. Blah blah. We had a company on company brawl.
Yeah.
So bad, a couple dudes couldn't deploy. One dude had like a head injury from getting hit in the head with a pipe.
Damn.
The duties were losing their minds, because they're responsible for everybody.
Damn, y'all had weapons,
dude. It was so massive. Like, I remember I didn't get involved. I was on the second deck, and like it just started happening. One or two dudes started arguing. That's when everyone else started coming out. It's like it was no shit like a line that separated the sea, and then just clash.
Yeah.
The dudes are like, "Get the blah blah blah." PMO's coming. And then when PMO arrives, cockroaches. Everyone's gone.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out who did what. A couple of guys couldn't deploy now because they got hit in the head. That guy got hit in the head with a pipe. He was in the hospital.
I bet.
Some other guys like had a broken finger, broken knuckles from fighting, and some guys were pretty messed up. So I was like, whose fault is that really? The command's fault. Like who puts an entire battalion when where barracks are right? You can see the next barracks in front of you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, who's gonna what's going on? And that's when the same night, some of the guys were throwing beer bottles at H&S's barracks. That's when the company gunny was like, one of the first sergeants or someone comes like, "You quit throwing beer bottles, blah blah," and they fucking scatter. Wild, dude. And I'm like, what did y'all think was gonna happen? Looking back on it now, I was like, what did you think? Do you think we're gonna be responsible adults?
Yeah.
No. We're Marines.
Right.
And we're pissed off. We can't leave, and we can't. We had to deal with this mess night and all this other stuff. So
yeah, we didn't have a mess night. So
we've had one. We had corporal course. Corporal course. We had our mess night for corporal's course. Same setting.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah, I bet it was. Yeah, we didn't have a mess night. We didn't have any of that. I just remember going through the workups and then getting deployed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was, when they had downtime, it was fun. Barracks parties were always fun.
Yeah.
Everyone on the catwalk drinking.
Yeah.
It's whenever, sometimes especially, it depends on which way it goes, but sometimes when your seniors get drunk, it kind of becomes more of like a mentor now. Or it's the way opposite direction. They're just a big dick.
Yeah.
Now they're just fucking with you even more. So it's either mentor, depends on what you get. If you pick your head out and you see your seniors drinking, you're like, "Oh, hey, you come here real quick."
Yeah.
Now okay, mentor. You get over here. Now I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Shouldn't put my head out. Should have locked my door and just stayed away.
Now, after a while, throughout the workup and training and working with the squad and stuff, my squad leader, And again, my team leader is the one I looked up to the most because he, he was more instructional and laid back, and you know. But the squad leader, my team leader, and then the other two team leaders, they're pretty cool after a while. It was just hectic the first week or so.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my first workup and some of the funny stories we did.
Yeah, I didn't have many funny stories other than, I really didn't have any funny stories really in my first workup, first deployment.
For you guys, we're going to go through the fleet, and then we're going to go through our deployments, like the workups. Part 2 of the video is going to be about the second deployment workups. A little different. Like I said, each the workup's a little different, so stay tuned for this part 2.